Who here recently has tried using MoneyGram or Western Union to send money across the globe? Okay, there you go. So we have a few hands. So funny enough, I had to do this a few weeks ago. So a few weeks ago, it was Eid. I was trying to send money to Pakistan. And so let me just walk you through the process. I had to get in my car, drive to Chase, take out physical cash. Then I had to Google, where can I find a CVS with a MoneyGram kiosk? Okay, done. 4 miles away. Drove there, went to the kiosk, put in my information. They asked for my ID. I had to pay an $11 flat fee just to pay for that. And then the conversion rate from US dollars to Pakistani rupee was outrageous, not even close to the market rate. Not only that, once I sent it to my cousin in Pakistan, he had to wait 2 days and he had to pay a service fee. So off the bat, I lost about 15% just trying to get money from San Francisco to Karachi, Pakistan over 2 days. So when we talk about why movement and why I'm specifically in the crypto and blockchain world, this is the use case that I set out almost 10 years ago to solve, because it was a problem that not only me, but my family was impacted with. And it's something that I believe that we have a perfect solution for, especially with stablecoins. All right, so why stablecoins? So in 1969, America planted the flag on the moon. And some people in the audience may think that this is a conspiracy, but regardless, what this told the world was America is the future, and we're here to show it to you. And then 4 years later, SWIFT was born. So in 1973, SWIFT was created, and this was the first time that banks could talk to each other cross-border. And it was the system that was set up that you could send money from one location to a different location, within a few days. But this was the plumbing that was created back in 1973. And this is the same plumbing, by the way, that I had to use when I was sending sending money from Pakistan or from San Francisco to Pakistan. Again, the rails are the exact same that were created years and decades ago, and it's time for a revolution in this space. And by the way, just to kind of give you context of how old this was 16 years before the Berlin Wall fell. So we're still using the same plumbing that was used decades ago. Okay, so now for history lesson. How did the dollar become the global currency? I'm sure there's a lot of history buffs in this room, and if you're in crypto, I'm sure you followed this, but this was Bretton Woods. In 1944, there was a conference where 44 countries decided that the US dollar would be the dominant global currency reserve for the world. And this was because, obviously, the US had gold, and so whoever has the gold makes the rules. And then in 1973, we had the OPEC embargo. Now, oil prices quadrupled, similar to what's happening today. And what the US did was create a deal with Saudi Arabia. They offered them security, but in exchange, Saudi Arabia would have to price its oil in US dollars. And so the petrodollar was born. So no longer was the US dollar just backed by gold, it was also backed by energy. So any country that needed energy would have to get US dollars. But here's the thing, in 1971, the US actually moved off the gold standard. So it wasn't even that the US was based off gold anymore. The US dollar was really built off the trust of the US government, the military, and energy. All right, so fast forward to 2014. This was when Tether was created. It was the first stablecoin based, again, on the US dollar. And 4 years later, USDC was created, also serving as a stablecoin based on the US dollar. So again, when we talk about stablecoins, it's not actually about replacing the US dollar, it's really about extending it. And 90% of the stablecoins we have today, both USD and USDT, USDC, they're actually based on the US dollar. They didn't choose the euro, they didn't choose the yuan, they didn't choose the yen, they chose the US dollar. So again, when we talk about stablecoins, really the future is being built in this country, and we see the acceptance of USDC or US-based stablecoins across the globe in countries all over the world. And again, the golden rule of economics is he who controls the gold makes the rule. Now the problem is obviously in today's age, that gold is digital. And so the people who are building the rules for stablecoins are sitting in this room. We're building the infrastructure, we're building the rules, we're building basically the protocols that enable global transfer of stablecoins across the globe. Now, this is actually a picture of our CEO meeting the president of Ethiopia. So one of the things is sometimes you don't realize how big a need of stablecoins are until you actually talk to people across the globe. So we've talked to people in Ethiopia, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in Djibouti, and it's all the same question there. Their users, or basically the population, wants access to stablecoins, but the local government is hesitant about opening that corridor because they're scared of what might happen to that local currency. So the situation you have there is that a black market gets created where people on the ground are illegally trying to move money using the stablecoin rails while the government is trying to crack down on these wallets. And so the way that we think about it is we want a compliant, transparent, and fair way to give countries like Ethiopia, give their users and give their population access to stablecoins, but doing it in partnership with the government. So this is why we build Movement. Our whole philosophy is really to move money responsibly. We don't want to be super fast, super chaotic. We also don't want to be super slow or bureaucratic. We just want to make sure that we work with the right partners and we actually work within these different economies to make sure that money is being moved compliantly as well as transparently. And in the end of the day, it's built for real users. So you might ask, okay, well, there's so many blockchains, so why Movement? So our position is that first, we need to work on the compliance side. So currently, we actually have regulated rails of moving money in the United States, the European Union, as well as Canada. And in partnership, what we're trying to do is basically open up corridors with different emerging countries, like I mentioned, Ethiopia, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, and basically work with local governments to enable their own citizens to accept stablecoins and interact with our blockchain. So again, why Movement? Because we are trying to be fast, secure, and retail ready. But at the same time, we do really believe that being compliant and transparent with the government and that working within these economies is just as important. Because we've seen what happens when these countries crack down on, whether it's crypto or stable coins. Black markets get created, there's a lot of disruption, and there's also a different rate between what a bank can offer for US dollars versus kind of the market street rate that you've seen happened recently with Nigeria. So Movement is where money lives. We're not asking for permission to disrupt. We've already built the infrastructure, we already have the licenses, and we already have the regulatory approvals. So now it's just about partnering with the right nations and working in accordance with their rules and regulations. So the dollar involved from gold to oil to now code, and Movement is where we believe the rails will enable different countries to accept stable coins across the globe. All right, thank you so much.